Honey, baby, hey, real quick, let me tell y'all about a portion of my doctor's appointment today. So if you've been following my journey, I have gastroparesis. It's a gut disease. I am going to do a video about it one day, just kind of talking about it. Also, to tag along with that, something called early satiety. You can Google both of them and find out if you're interested what they are. But I'll tell my journey about them on a later date. So with that being said, prior to my gut issues and being anemic, I've had a clean bill of health. Never seen a doctor outside of regular routine exams, yearly exams, that's it. I don't really do doctors, right? I've had a primary here and there, but I don't stick with them long because I don't have issues. So every time I go to the doctor, who's your primary? Who's your primary? I don't have one. Stop asking me. I don't have no primary. You want to talk about my gastroparesis doctor? You want to talk about my gastro doctor? I can tell you about my gastro doctor. You want to talk about my anemia? We're going to talk about that. Those are doctors I see on a regular basis. Anywho, listen. I finally decided to break down and get a primary doctor. I'm sick of being asked. I do understand it's important to have one. However, I disagree, but yeah, I get it. And then I had some things going on. I had to make a decision. I thought I had a sinus infection. He doesn't think I have one. And so I'm thinking, you can go to an ENT doctor and see them one time and probably never again, because baby, when they give you their medication, I ain't going back. Or you can decide to see another doctor and go ahead and let it be the primary, since it's important to have one, right? That's what they say. I decided to go to primary. Fast forward. He comes in, he looks like he's about 25 years old. He said he's Irish. I didn't see Irish, but he's pretty short for a male. Whatever. He just looks kind of young. He was very, very detailed. You know how doctors are in and out real quick. They don't want to talk to you. We engaged like we were BFFs. He didn't have a lot of personality, but he chuckled a couple of times. But listen, this man, I told them before coming to put in my chart, I have extreme OCD and anxiety. I want them to know that. So when they see me navigating and moving about differently, or if I'm making odd or different requests to them, they'll understand why. Baby, when he got in the office, after working with me for a few minutes, he said, have you ever thought about seeing somebody? I said, He looked at me like, oh, that was no. He said, do you self-manage? Absolutely, I self-manage. I've been living with this all my life. I self-manage. I said, it's hell. It's a lot, but I deal with it. Some things drive me crazy, but I navigate. So he wanted to dig in. He wanted to have a therapy session. Let's talk about this thing. I'm thinking, I don't know why, but let's go at it. I'm a talker. Let's talk about it. I don't know why, but let's do it, right? So he went into this long paragraph of words that all of it didn't really land. It didn't connect, but I know the gist of it was seeing a therapist, and maybe it could help me stimulate the brain and not really have to act on all of my rituals. I said, well, honey, there is nothing a therapist could do for me. They can't do nothing for me. So when he came over to put his stethoscope on my shirt, I said, it's okay. You're not touching my skin. I'm okay with that. He said, you made a comment, what can they do for you? I said, no, that's not what I said. He said, oh, well then you said, and he said something else. I said, that's not what I said. I said, I'm messing with you, doc. No, what I said was they can't do anything for me. He said, okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's. So when he get to talk about, not being able to overcome my urges and this and other, I said, let me give you an example of how extreme my OCD is. Because he was, then he started talking about, medications and different things like therapy and medications where you could talk to someone and get some things to help you not have the urge. And I said, let me tell you something. I led with this, right? We talked about several different things, but I led with this one. I said, I've had several procedures, medical, surgical. I said, my OCD is so strategic. It is so profound. It's so serious and strong. I've come out of anesthesia in OCD mode. I'm like, I shouldn't know my name coming out of anesthesia. But I'm like, don't touch that. Don't put my head right there. Don't do this. Hold up. Wait. Don't. Baby, I come off anesthesia in OCD mode. That's how strong my brain is connected to my OCD. It's not a joke. It's not fake. It is so for real. So what I was saying to him was, there ain't nothing over the counter nobody can give me that's going to stimulate the brain. Help me not have the urge to not, as they say with people with Tourette's, not tick. not tick out with OCD. Baby, I come out of anesthesia. Don't touch this. Hold on. Is that clean? Can you wipe that down? Where that been? Don't lay my head right there. Listen. That's what I led with. And he's looking like, okay. So he asked me a couple of questions about, what happens when when you have the urge and you're not able. I said, when I have there's never a time I have the urge and I don't. If I have the urge to perform an OCD ritual, I do it. What's stopping me? So I said during COVID, where everyone was, more in tune with wiping down groceries and whatnot. I said I was doing that 30 years before COVID. I don't want anything to stop me from bringing my groceries home that have been handled by many hands, probably dropped on the floor in a cart where somebody had a nasty dog in there. And I say nasty because the ground is nasty. I ain't talking pet owners. Pipe down, back up. Right? Like, what? I don't want dog germs in my refrigerator. I would never take a pair of my shoes and stick them in my refrigerator. That's where dogs are, down there where I walk on the ground where my shoes are. So no, I don't want anything to stop me. Just go grocery shopping and just throw my stuff in drawers, cabinets, and my refrigerator. He's like, okay. This man is trying his best to reach me, and I guess he's looking like she's non-reachable. I'm not. So then the other thing I gave him, I said, let me give you another one. Today before coming to see you, I went and got a pedicure. I said, my guy, he knows me. He knows my OCD. We go back and forth. We banter real bad with each other. I said, usually he's nearby when I'm ready to get up, and he'll come and release the armrest for me to get out. He wasn't today. I said, and I don't usually wear a jacket because it's not really chilly all the time, but I had a little jacket on today. I said, because he wasn't around, I took my arm and I lifted it. I said, in my brain to this moment, I need to burn this sleeve because I touched that nasty armrest. I said, Doc, that appointment was at 1:30 today and it's still in my brain. His appointment was at 4. This was probably at least 4:30, 4:45 by that time, right? I'm like, so baby, this brain don't shut off from OCD. And when I get what he was saying, he said some very fruitful and meaningful things. I understood what he was saying. I said, maybe I should stop saying OCD drives me crazy and my rituals drive me crazy. Maybe I should stop saying that. I said, because while they drive me crazy, they also comfort me. What would push me over the edge would be not to do them. Hello? Baby, I'm OCD through and through, true and true. It is what it is. So yeah, he was like, if you ever change your mind, give me a call. I have to laugh because he was nailing some points. He's well, and I said, and I know as a doctor, you probably won't like this particular comment that I'm about to make. I said, prior to having gastro issues and being anemic, I said, I've never really had illnesses. I've never been sick, clean bill of health. So I don't do doctors. I don't do medications. I said, I'm real big on not doing medications. So I don't need anybody to give me something and I said, I know you're not going to like this word as a doctor. I don't need anything to control me. And I know you don't think it controls because medications would probably alter and stimulate and adjust things. Whatever word you want to use, however you want to slice and dice it. I don't need anything to do that to my brain. I like to be in control of my thoughts, my process, how I navigate, how I move through life. I don't need nothing to have me walk around here as a zombie. And I don't need anything to tell me, be dirty. Last example, and a part of the conversation. I said, I'll give you another one. I went to a dermatologist once. He was telling me, ma'am, as we age, you're going to have to stop washing your hands where you wash your hands. You don't have the same moisture, the same natural, blah, 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 blah. You're going to have to, I'm like, Doc, you got anything else? Because in my brain, I'm thinking, I ain't never going to stop washing my hands. Extremely, overly, excessive. I'm never going to. So what else you got? What else you got? He said I had some form of eczema. I don't know which is the proper way. People say both eczema, eczema. Baby, I can have Maximus. I can have Lazarus. And I can have Judas. And I can have Exodus, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. Okay? Listen, I'm going to wash my hands. And again, I don't need the medication to mind alter me from walking around with dirty, filthy hands. What? No, not going to happen. So I told him as he's talking, I'm like, Anything else you got? Because I'm going to wash my hands. I told the doctor I have this nail concoction I make at the house. Now, y'all always hear me saying that my hands ash, you mind your business. And now you know why. I'm always washing, scrubbing, and bleach. You've seen the videos if you're following the channel. So that's why. But I also have this cream. I have a medicated ointment. I have things to treat my hands. And this cream, this concoction I make, baby, it's bomb. It's heaven. My hands are good. So I did not take that doctor's advice. I washed my hands probably even more than when I saw him 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I'm not going to stop being OCD. It drives me crazy washing my hands the way I do, but I'm more comfortable washing them than to know I'm walking around with filthy, disgusting, nasty hands. Y'all listen, I just had to share. That doctor's appointment was crazy. Especially the part when I told him I come out of anesthesia talking about OCD and what not to touch and what not to lay me, and is everything clean, and can you wipe that down? Did you wipe it? I need you to wipe it. If anesthesia don't knock me off my game, ain't nothing Walgreens and CVS over the counter gonna do to my OCD. Bye, y'all.